Radha Krishna Prabhu is already well known to our congregation, but I'm just telling few points about him. Radha Krishna Prabhu is a monk, mentor, and a spiritual teacher, primarily based on Houston. He travels all over the world: Australia, China, Hong Kong, Singapore, and America, giving talks on spiritual subject from Bhagavad Gita and Srimad Bhagavatam. He is also an authority for Vedic studies in Texas area. We are truly blessed to have Prabhu's association today. With that, let us welcome Radha Krishna Prabhu by loudly chanting Hare Krishna mantra one time. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare,
Hare
Rama, Rama Rama,
Hare
Hare. Thank you, Radha Krishna Prabhu.
Hare Krishna.
Over to you, Prabhu.
Hare Krishna. Can you hear me?
Yes, Prabhu. Yes, Prabhu, we can hear you.
All right. So just want to make sure. Maybe a few people can turn on their videos. Otherwise, it's all looks like everything is blank. Yeah, thank you. At least I can see some, we are in the personal movement, so we should be a little bit more personal. Otherwise, it's very impersonal. And you're talking about Balaram, so Balaram is very personal. So Shri Balaram Jayanti Ki Jai. So very nice. So I thank Satyasai Prabhu and Satyarupa Prabhu and Gauranga, both of you, for welcoming me. And I also had the good fortune of speaking this morning also in Houston. So it's kind of fresh in my mind. So I'll try to say something. And I hope you will get something out of it and understand the position of Sri Balaram better, and also learn how to connect with him. Okay, so Sri Balaram is, from our understanding from the Srimad Bhagavatam and so on, is the first expansion. The way I see it, it's a spontaneous expansion, and he expands with only a single desire, and his only desire is to serve Krishna. That's all. So it's an incarnation, you can say, or an expansion. He expands from Krishna just to serve Krishna. That's all he's thinking about. He's always thinking how I can serve Krishna. It is said that he appears like a 16-year-old. Yeah, around 16-year-old. Sometimes it's stated he's like 14 or 15, like that. Yeah, but generally Srila Prabhupada also says 16 years old. Okay, and he has a bodily luster or color, complexion. We can say whitish, but in some places it describes as crystal. So you can, if you've seen crystals, they're also like whitish, like that. And he wears blue garments and a garland of forest flowers. Of course, when you are reading the Bhagavatam, you see that just like Lord Krishna, who is Swayam Bhagavan, Swayam Bhagavan means he's the original. He's the first Bhagavan, or he is the Bhagavan. Actually, everything is Krishna in one sense. So and he is the son of Nanda Maharaj and Yashoda. And similarly, Balaram is also the son of Nanda Maharaj and Krishna, even though we can say that he is his real parents are Rohini and Vasudeva, but because the foster parents, Nanda and Yashoda, actually raised them. Generally, if you grow up without your parents and someone else raises you, they are actually your true parents in that sense. Okay, so Balaram is raised by Nanda and Yashoda, as well as Rohini in Vrindavan. So their home, if you want to know their address, it's Vrindavan. The actual street we are not given yet, but as you make advancement, you'll be told which street in Vrindavan. So Balaram's hometown is Vrindavan. Taddama Vrindavanam. So that's where, Taddama Paramam. So Taddama Vrindavan is actually their place of residence. As I mentioned, there's no difference between Lord Krishna and Lord Balaram. But Krishna is the origin, okay? He's the first. And from him, all the other expansions come. So there is a verse in the Brahma Samhita, and I think many of you know that, right? And you can chant as I'm chanting. Deeparcheva hita santaramabhipetya Deepayate vivrita hetu samana dharma vyastadrikeva hichas vishnutaya vibhati govindamadi purusham tamaham bhajami. Now this particular verse talks about the original candle. Okay, so you can have many candles, all equal candles, but one candle you light first. Okay, so that candle you can use to light other candles also, and then you can see that they are all shining in the same candle power. So Krishna's expansions are equal to Krishna, but then there's one which was the first origin. So the original candle, you can say, is Krishna. So everything is an expansion of Krishna, but it doesn't mean the other Vishnu expansions are less than Krishna. No, they are just like Krishna. They have the same potency, but they do not exhibit all those potencies. Only Krishna exhibits full potency. So that's the difference. Otherwise, they're all Supreme Personality of God. So like that, there's no difference between Krishna and Balaram. There's no difference between even the bodily forms. They look identical, actually, like twins. The only difference is Krishna is darkish, Shama, whereas Balaram is whitish. Like sometimes it's even described milky white in some places, but ever so beautiful, so beautiful, with his forest garlands made from forest flowers. He is so exquisitely beautiful. Sometimes we think we know what beauty is, but when you read the scriptures about the beauty of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, they are exquisitely beautiful, so beautiful. We cannot even imagine. If you read the pastime of Lord Ram is also described to be very beautiful, supremely beautiful. Obviously, they are all extraordinarily beautiful, but Krishna is above all that. So that's why when they discuss about Krishna, Krishna has these extra qualities. So he's superlative, one above. Even though they are all so beautiful, he's just one above. So very, very beautiful. And Krishna is the fountainhead. You should all understand. Fountainhead means the origin, fountainhead of all the incarnations. And in that sense, Balaram is the second body of Krishna, like that. So we should understand like that. But generally, the incarnations don't directly come from Krishna. They come from Balaram. So if you are reading many of the scriptures, most of these avatars that you read about, they are all coming from Balaram, actually. So all incarnations emanate from Lord Balaram. So if you look at the spiritual sky, Balaram is actually responsible for the entire spiritual atmosphere, as well as the material region. All the planetary systems, Vaikuntha planets, all are emanating from Balaram, actually. So he is the source of all of those things. Now, when Balaram expands, and in his expansion, as he tries to, I wouldn't say create, as he tries to support the entire spiritual atmosphere, where he expands different planetary Vaikuntha planets and so on. All of them are coming from his expansions. The first expansion is known as the Chaturvyuha. These are very powerful Narayana forms that come from Balaram, the very first expansion. They are known as Vasudev, Sankarshan, and Aniruddha and Pradyumna. Okay, and from this Sankarshan, all the Narayanas in the Vaikuntha regions are coming from him, this Sankarshan. And then from them, from one of these Sankarshan, a Narayana form is formed. Okay, and from this Narayana form, he is known as Mahanarayana. The second Chaturvyuha comes. Okay, so, and again, they are also similarly named Vasudev, Sankarshan, Pradyumna, and Aniruddha. Like that. So from this second Chaturvyuha, we have the Sankarshan. From him, the Maha, he's known as Mahashankarshan. From him, Mahavishnu is generated. So this Mahavishnu comes into the causal ocean, which separates the spiritual sky from the material region. And from there, he then generates from within his body, from his pores of his skin, innumerable universes. And then he expands as Garbhodakashaya Vishnu and goes into each of these universes. And then again, he expands from Garbhodakashaya Vishnu as Karana Dakashaya Vishnu. No, I mean Shiro Dakashaya Vishnu. As Paramatma, and he expands into all the elements within this material world and into all the living entities like that. Now from Garbhodakashaya Vishnu, he generates from his navel the golden lotus, from within which the firstborn living entity is taking birth. Brahma takes birth. All right. So then Brahma is given the potency to then create within this universe the 4 planetary system and give each living entity their allotted position within this universe and the type of body they require. So all these expansion are coming from Lord Balaram. So if you really want to know, he's doing a lot of work, you know? And then we do a little bit and we complain, you know. But you can see Lord Balaram is doing so much, you know, and he's so excited and happy to do this service for Krishna. In any case, all these expansions, they're all the same person. They are Krishna, but in different functions or roles, different types of roles they perform. So why I say that? Because the Lord is one and he's without a second. Okay, so that understanding must be there. But at the same time, what does it mean, these expansions and so on? This is where you need to understand the philosophy of Achintya Beda Beda Tattva. Simultaneously one and different. So Lord has his own expansions. They seem to be coming from him. They are him, but they are not him in that sense. Okay, so we are also expansions of Krishna, but we are not Krishna. We have our own personalities, and we are actually expansion of Krishna for the purpose of actually serving Krishna. The problem is we are not interested in serving Krishna, and therefore we are going through some sort of difficulty in this material realm, like that. So in the pastime purposes, even though Balaram is an expansion of Krishna, he takes the role of an older or elder brother. Okay, so when in the Leelas, Balaram appears first, before Krishna. So in the 10th canto, if you look up at 10th canto, chapter 2, the prayers of the demigods, and then there's a verse in text 8. I will read that verse so that you can get a picture. Let me just read the verse. Devakya jatare garbham seshakyam dama mamakam tat sannikrishya rohinya udare sanniveshaya. So this is Krishna telling Yogamaya. Within the womb of Devaki is my partial plenary expansion, known as Sankarshana or Sesha. Without difficulty, transfer him onto the womb of Rohini. Then in the next verse, Krishna tells the Yogamaya, my plenary expansion, Ananta Sesh, is within the womb of Devaki. Okay. On account of being forcibly attracted to the womb of Rohini, he will be known as Sankarshan. Okay. And will be the source of all spiritual power or bala, by which one can attain the highest bliss of life, which is called a Ramana. Therefore, the plenary portion, Ananta, will be known after his appearance either as Shankarshana or as Balarama. So Bala refers to the strength, spiritual strength. Excuse me. I have to turn it off. I do apologize. I forgot that it was on. Now, yeah, the Bala in Balaram refers to spiritual strength. So when we worship Balaram, we are not asking for physical strength. And sometimes people misunderstand. Huh? They think it's the strength is the, you know, a lot of times people think they want the physical strength. And if you have physical strength, they think they can go back to Godhead using your physical strength. But that's not correct. Okay. So we should understand that properly. Srila Prabhupada also quotes from the verse in the Upanishad, I think it's Mundaka Upanishad, where he says, Nayam Atma Balahine na Labhaya. That means this, without this spiritual strength, one cannot understand spiritual life or perform devotional service properly to Sri Krishna. Okay, so we need to understand that. Now, in terms of how he takes birth thereafter, what happens is Devaki becomes pregnant for a few months. It is said about like 7 months. And then at the 7th month, what happens is the Yogamaya, under the instructions of Krishna, takes this Sesha, the plenary portion, and then transfers to the womb of Rohini. Rohini is in Vrindavan at this time, under the care of Nanda Maharaj. Okay. Vasudeva has many wives, and when Kansa was doing nonsense, they took all of them and placed, they went to Vrindavan under the protection of Nanda Maharaj, you know. Yeah. So it so happens that when Devaki got married to Vasudeva, while they were going on a chariot, Kansa is driving the chariot, and he's so happy that his sister, well, he's not his direct sister, his cousin sister. So she got married, and he's so happy. And while he's driving, suddenly in the sky, the celestial voice said, oh, you foolish Kansa, the 8th child of your sister Devaki will kill you. As soon as he heard that, he got so angry, so disturbed. He stopped the chariot and he dragged his sister by her hair, you know, and he wanted to kill her immediately. And so what happens is Vasudeva, being very intelligent, he's a Kshatriya, he's trained in diplomacy, so he convinced Kansa, and he said, look, it's the 8th child, so why would you want to kill my wife? You know, we will give you the 8th child, and you can do what you want with it. So when Kansa heard that, he was okay, no problem. But then what happens is once they went back to the castle, the Narada Muni comes, and then Narada says, you know, how do you know which child will be Krishna? You know, Krishna is so tricky. He can change. He can be the first child or the second child. Then Kansa was foolishly thinking, yeah, you are right, Narada. And so he started killing every child. As soon as they are born, he kills them like that. And so when the 7th pregnancy happens, Yogamaya transfers Ananta Sesha and then moves it to the womb of Rohini. Now, the Acharyas do say that Rohini was already pregnant at that time. She was around 3 months pregnant. So what does it mean? It means she was already pregnant with Balaram, the original Balaram. The Balaram that Devaki was holding was a plenary portion of another Balaram. Okay, so when they transferred over, both Balarams merged and became one. All right, did you understand that? I hope you all understood that. So similarly with Krishna also, when Vasudeva brings Krishna to Nanda and Yashoda's place, and when he exchanges Krishna with Yoga Maya, who was also born, she actually Yashoda gives birth to twins. So one of them is Yoga Maya. I believe Vasudeva actually, I believe he didn't see the other child, so he just exchanges the female child and he goes away like that. But in any case, this is how Rohini gets, or not Rohini, this is how Devaki loses her pregnancy. So everyone thought she had a miscarriage. But actually, through the scriptures, through the 10th canto, if you read, that is not the case. It's just that the potency, by the potency of the Lord, Yogamaya transfers Anantasesh into the womb of Rohini, like that. So now you understand how the child is there. So then Rohini is pregnant, right? She's about 3 months, but her pregnancy extends for another 13 months. So all in all, she is pregnant for 16 months. So you may be thinking, how is that possible? It's not possible. Well, it is possible. Why not? The super soul is in your heart, right? The super soul is in the heart of every living entity. And as long as you are alive, the super soul is with you. So the super soul is with you for the rest of your life. So why can't he be in the womb for 16 months? Okay. So we should understand nicely like that. So in the same way, she is pregnant for 16 months, and about 8 days before Janmastami, Krishna Janmastami, Balaram takes birth, and so that's how, and today is that day, in the month of Shravana, it is a full moon. I'm not sure if you all, this morning, did you all go out and see the moon in the morning? If you were up at 4:30, the sky was clear, and then we could see beautiful moon. If you missed it this evening, you should be able to see it again. Full moon. It should be huge when it comes out in the evening. So it's a beautiful moon. So Balaram was born on this day. So Shri Balaram Jayanti Ki Jai. Okay. So from our Gaudiya understanding, Gaudiya philosophy, and also ontological point of view, we understand that Balaram is the personification of time. He's a source of strength. He's also the cause of all living entities, in the sense that he brings us into this material universe through various avatars, and then he populates this universe, and so that we have the opportunity to take our devotional service and go back to the spiritual world. So because he is our source, or the cause of all living entities, to go back to the spiritual world, the living entity has to go through the medium of Lord Balaram. Okay, so that's how Balaram takes us back to Godhead. And those helping us, they are devotees, they are spiritual masters, or we consider them expansions of Sri Baladev. Okay, so therefore spiritual masters, you call them gurus, Shiksha gurus, any spiritual authorities who are helping us understand the spiritual topics and how to apply them in our life. Such personalities are considered to be expansions or representatives of Balaram. Okay, so similarly, all of you are preaching. Whenever you're sincerely preaching to connect people with Krishna, you're doing the service that Balaram does for Krishna. So sometimes you are very fortunate, you get very excited, I should say, or you get very enthused and very happy to preach to people. That happiness, the feeling of wanting to give a person the opportunity to go back to Krishna, those are all been blessed by Balaram. So So we take that role of connecting people with the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So Balaram is the spiritual master, actually. He's the Adi Guru. And so therefore all the spiritual masters are Balaram's expansion. Or you can say Balaram's representative. And this is Guru Tattva. Okay, this is what Guru Tattva is. It's not that the Guru is Balaram, but rather he has the potency of Balaram. Or that Balaram has invested his potency on that individual to act as a Guru. Okay. So that's Guru Tattva. So which is why you should be very careful how you deal with your Diksha Guru and your Siksha Gurus, because they are trying their best to connect you with Krishna. So there should be a great care and attention and when you receive such personalities. No? Okay. So therefore, when I remember, I say Bala hinena labhya. Therefore, without the mercy of Lord Balaram, without his spiritual strength, we cannot understand our spiritual identity. Okay. Yeah. So try to understand. It's very important, but it's at the same time, it's good that we know what it is. Okay. So the spiritual strength that we get is infused by Sri Balaram. Or you can say Sankarshan, like that. Now, generally, when we talk about Balaram, at least for me, the two important pastime that I feel that devotees should know is the pastime of Dhenukasura, the killing of Dhenukasura, and the killing of Pralambasura. So these are two important personalities that you should understand. The Dhenukasura is an ass demon. He takes a form of an ass, and then Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur, he identifies many of these demons in the Vrindavan Leela to be a block or hindrances for all of us in our spiritual progress. Now, of course, the Dhenukasura, he represents what we call our inability to understand our relationship with Krishna, the Sambandha Jnana. Okay, so we become ignorant of Krishna, or we choose to be ignorant of Krishna. Not only that, we also become uninterested or not able to take up the chanting, the holy name, become ignorant about the holy name also, not wanting to chant. And therefore, because we are not interested in understanding our relationship with the Supreme Personality of God, we don't even appreciate or cannot appreciate spiritual books or our acharyas or gurus. So these are the problems that Dhenuka Asura represents. Okay. So if you look at such personalities, they are ass-like. Srila Prabhupada says they are ass-like. Why? Because they behave like an ass. So what is an ass famous for? They say it's famous for its stupidity. Why they say that? Because it carries unnecessarily so much burden, right? And I've never seen it in my life until I went to India. So and then the ass has so much load on the body that you cannot even see that the ass is there. You just see two legs walking or four legs walking. You know it's an animal carrying. You can't even see the animal itself. So that's how hard they work. The ass works like that. So unnecessarily carrying so much burden, thinking it'll get something, but actually it doesn't get much benefit like that. Therefore, we approach the spiritual master to help us give up unnecessary burdens. Okay, most of us carry so much burdens in our hearts, in our lives, and those things will hinder our spiritual life. So we need to approach a spiritual master and then ask the spiritual master to please kindly help me give up these unnecessary burdens. We should use whatever we have for the service of Krishna. Okay, we should use what is that? Nirbandha Krishna Sambandhe Yuktam Vairagyam Yuchyate. So when you connect things that you have and serve it, use it in the service of Krishna, it becomes perfect. So when we have a lot of things in our hearts that are unnecessary, we carry for no good reason, they will drag us away from Krishna. They become burden. So Krishna, therefore, he says, right, in the Bhagavad Gita, Yad karosi, yad asnasi, yad juhosi, yad. He says, give everything to me, offer as an offering unto me, perform austerities, you do it as an offering unto me. Mad arpanam. So when you do that, then Krishna will take our burden, and then he will transform it into a service unto him. And then we don't suffer unnecessarily in this material world for no good reason. So the spiritual mass actually teaches us how to transform all these unnecessary burdens that we are carrying. In some cases, he'll say, give it up, throw it away. So Lord Balaram represents the spiritual master, and therefore by killing the ass demon, the spiritual master takes away all these burdens from us. So what is this pastime? So Dhenukasura, he was, as I said, he is actually a asura who has taken a form of a donkey or an ass. As I was mentioning this morning also, I cannot understand why all these asuras take the form of monkeys or donkeys, and it's just fascinating. But it seems that they like to do that. For some reason they take such forms. But they do take these forms to frighten the innocent and try to abuse people in general so that they can control them. And what is the point in getting so much potency and siddhis, right? All these asuras they get, and then they transform into an ass, So it's kind of funny. So anyway, one time all the cowherd boys, they were grazing cows, and then they were kind of, and then the winds were blowing, and the winds were blowing from the Talavana forest. So there's a lot of tal fruits and trees. So the fragrance of those things came, and the cowherd boys were all, oh man, this is so nice fragrance. I want to take all this tal fruit, but we cannot go there because this crazy donkey or ass demon is blocking us. So they quickly ran to Krishna and Balaram, who were on the ground lying and taking it easy, So they say, oh Krishna, oh Balaram, please, we can smell this wonderful tal fruit. And Krishna, do you know, it tastes so wonderful. It is so great, but we cannot go there because there is this demon, and he's blocking us. And we truly, truly want to enjoy. Of course, Krishna wants to please his devotees. And so he looks at them, he smiles, and he looks at Balaram and says, Balaram, let's go, So together they walk and they play music and so on. And then they approach the tal trees in the Talavan forest. As soon as Balaram saw this huge, they are palm trees actually. Tal fruits are palm trees, a type of palm tree. And so the fruits are very juicy and very sweet. So when he saw the tree, he started shaking it and yanking it so hard. and then all these fruits start falling, and then they fell all over the grounds, and they start making the bang bang sound, the pitter patter sounds like that. And then guess what? The Dhenukasura, who was sleeping in a different part of this forest, woke up and said, what's that sound? What's that sound? What is it? Somebody is stealing my fruits? It is said that Dhenukasura was guarding the Talavan forest with the tal fruits for Kamsa. Kamsa really liked the liquor made from these tal fruits, juicy, So he had it all cordoned up, and then these demons were taking care on behalf of Kamsa. So when the cowherd boys came and Balaram was, shaking the the trees, and when Dhenukasura heard the sound of the tal fruits hitting the ground, he came charging. He came rushing, and when he's huge, he's a humongous donkey or ass. It's not like ordinary ass. I think Dhenukasura stood as high as a house, I think. So he came charging, and his charging was, the coward boys were thinking this is an earthquake happening. That's how strong the sound of his hooves were. And the trees started moving, and they were thinking, what, the earthquake is going to happen? So then all of a sudden, right in front of Balaram, this ass demon comes, and then he brays and makes a lot of noise, and he turns around with his hind leg. He gives a very hard hit on the chest of Balaram, So, but Balaram didn't fall down, He looked at the donkey and said, what's wrong with this animal, What's wrong with this ass, So, and then the Dhenukasura is thinking, man, I'm going to kill this person, So again, he turns around to kick, but this time when he kicks, Balaram catches hold of his hind foot. And then he goes 1, 2, 3. By the third swing, Dhenukasura left his body, because that was the strength, the centrifugal force, of twirling this ass, released his life force from him, and he died. And so when he's dead, Balaram just threw it over the treetops. So all the tall trees were so huge, so the body of Dhenuka fell on that. Now he also had a lot of friends, and guess what? All his friends are also like asses also. In one sense they are ass, in another sense they are asses, if you know what I mean. So they all came charging, and this time Krishna also got involved, and both Krishna and Balaram, they did the same thing. They caught hold of the hooves, and they just swung, and then all of them left their body, and then they were all decorated on top of the trees. So it is said by the acharyas how when the demigods looked, they saw that the trees were like covered with clouds of different colors. So these donkeys or asses, they had different colored bodies, and so they were decorating. And like this, the cowherd boys then enjoyed whatever tal fruits they can eat. Obviously, when the asses were all killed, some of them were bleeding on the trees and so on, and some of them damaged the trees fell one after another, and Srila Prabhupada writes, it appeared like a hurricane has just gone through the place like that. Okay, so this exhibition of extraordinary strength shouldn't be astonishing for us, because Balaram is also what we call Ananta Sesha Naga, right? And who's Ananta Sesha? He's carrying all the universes on his hood. So therefore, he has immense strength. Nobody can understand the strength of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So, so that is the pastime of Dhenukasura. And it's good to go and read on your own also, and refresh yourself about these pastimes. But the main gist of it is that the demon actually represents the sambandha, the lack of sambandha jnana between the jiva and Krishna, being ignorant of Krishna, being ignorant of the holy name, and one's spiritual identity in relation to the Supreme Person, and also not able to appreciate the acharyas, not able to appreciate the scriptures. Right? Nayam lokasti na para na sukham samsayatmanaha. If you don't have faith in the scriptures, for such a person, there's no happiness in this life nor in the next life, Krishna says. So therefore, we should try to develop these qualities. We should develop the quality, try to understand our relationship with Krishna, try to read the scriptures. It's very important, because Dhenukasura also represents that hindrances in our spiritual life which only we can fix. You cannot go to Krishna and say, Krishna, I'm not reading the Prabhupada's books, please let me read the book. It doesn't work like that. This you have to do yourself, and then you have to chant yourself. Krishna cannot come and chant for you. And then by doing that, you will understand you get purified and understand your relationship Krishna, and then you can perform your devotional service nicely. So this is the pastime of Dhenukasura. Now the second demon that I was going to talk about is Pralambasura. Okay, and according to acharyas, this demon, he represents greed. Greed for what? Greed for position, pratishta, honor, worship, money, and also lust and illicit sex. I guess this is so common nowadays due to the fact that we don't have proper guidance anymore from our family members or society itself. At the education system, everything is so screwed up that people don't know what is right and wrong. Therefore, we all think this is okay, but these qualities inhibit us from recognizing the position of the Supreme Lord, and it also inhibits us from taking a pure devotional service. So Pralambasura, he represents all these things: greed for position, worship, money, lust, honor, illicit sex, like that. So anyway, just give me a second. I do apologize. Someone is at the door. A thousand apologies to all of you. You can. Anyways, as I was saying, so this pastime happens near the Bandiravana forest. I was just thinking. So what happened is one day the cowherd boys all got together and they were going to the forest, but they usually gather in Nandagram and then they start going. So one of the cowherd boys called in sick. He became sick, and then and when he called in sick, somehow or other the information got to the demon. He found out also, Pralambasura. So probably he looked up the Facebook and he found out that the cowherd boy was sick. So when you have Facebook, don't put all kinds of things in there, so people will find out about you very nicely. And so when he found out which cowherd boy was missing, he dressed like him and then he came into the gathering of the cowherd boys. But when Krishna saw him, obviously Krishna, he can see the past, present, and future. So he can see this guy, he is not a cowherd boy. Krishna could see he's a demon. So Krishna was thinking, he's going to try to kill one of the cowherd boys, or he's trying to kill me, or he's trying to kill my brother Balaram. So Krishna was thinking, no, I have to trick this guy. I must somehow or other get rid of him. So Krishna came up with a plan. And the plan was they're going to play. Everyone was going to play this game where whoever wins, whoever loses will carry the winners. And so some of them, then he said we have to have two sides. So one side will be Krishna, another side will be Balaram, will be the lead. So when Pralambasura, when he came to this group, the gathering of cowherd boys, he was attracted by Krishna. When he saw Krishna, he said, wow, Krishna, it looks amazing, but I can sense that he's very powerful. So I'm not going to be, I don't want to fight against him. I'll try to fight with someone else first. His plan was eventually even kill Krishna, but at that time he was thinking like that. And so when Krishna said we have to divide into two groups, he decided to join Krishna's group so that he doesn't have to fight Krishna. And he was thinking he will fight with Balaram. But of course, Krishna knows all that. So to avoid the company of Krishna, he decided to take the place, to join Krishna. So that during the game, when they lose, he will not be carrying Krishna or something like that. So anyway, they had the game, and Krishna and Balaram and everyone were playing, but eventually they got defeated. Krishna and his cowherd boys were defeated, and so they agreed, yes, let us carry the others. So then, of course, Krishna, I think he had to carry Sridham, and then the other devotees were carrying her. So and then left with Pralamba Sura, and so he had to carry Balaram. And he was thinking, oh, this is good. Now I got the younger brother, I mean the older brother, the weaker one. But he didn't know. So they were supposed to carry and through the forest to the edge of Bandiravan forest. Yeah. So when they all came to the edge of Bandiravan forest, everyone got off, right? They were carrying, everyone got off, except Balaram. Pralambasura wouldn't let Balaram get down. Immediately he started running. So he started running out of the forest. So all the cowherd boys and Krishna said, what happened? What's wrong? Hey, stop. But he wouldn't stop. He kept going. And he thought, oh, I got Balaram. Now I'll, when I get a chance, I'm going to kill him. But little did he know what was in stock, So he is a very powerful demon, very powerful. But when he was carrying Balaram, he felt he couldn't carry anymore. He had a form of a coward boy, so it's very difficult. Okay. So he said, I have to change my form. So then he took a humongous giant, almost like a mountain, he transformed into a demon, his Asura form, with golden helmets and earrings and all. And then he was, carrying Balaram, but he was feeling too much weight on his shoulders. He didn't know what to do. He was actually suffering. So when Balaram then saw this demon suddenly manifest, then he realized this guy is trying to kill me. So immediately he clenched his fist and he hit the helmet, the head of the demon. And guess what? With one hit, he killed Pralambasura, completely whacked out. And he fell down dead with a cracked head, all the demigods in the heavenly planets, they became so happy because this demon was giving hell to even the demigods. So they showered the beautiful Balaram, the transcendental Balaram, with all the flowers from the heavenly. And as they were congratulating the cowherd boys, everyone came and said, hey, this is so wonderful. You've done a great job. So now as devotees, we can cry out humbly and sincerely to Lord Krishna to remove these demoniac qualities, which are represented by all the demons you read in the Krishna book or in the Bhagavatam. And Krishna, being so kind, will remove all these evils in us. But the acharyas say the devotee must personally work to drive out the anarthas represented by Pralambasura and Dhenukasura. Okay, these are things that we must work out, not something that Krishna can substitute for us. So you have to personally work to drive out these anarthas, and that way we will obtain the mercy of Krishna. After we do our part, then Krishna can bless us. And if our humility becomes very deep and intense, Krishna becomes very merciful. In that case, the feeling of Lord Balaram will also arise in our minds, and then quickly all these demonic qualities will be destroyed. Then we'll improve our cultivation of devotional service, like that. So yeah. So these are two most important pastimes. Now, of course, there are other pastimes like Dvivida, the gorilla, and then you have the pastime of Varuni, and then Yamuna Devi. Then you also have pastimes of how when Aniruddha wanted to marry the daughter, right? And then when they refused to allow, I think it's the Aniruddha was going to marry the granddaughter, and Samba, I think, when Samba wanted to marry the daughter of Duryodhana, and then they refused, the Kauravas they capture him and put him in prison. So then Balaram went to talk to them in a nice way, but they were so arrogant, so he became very angry. So he took out his plow and he showed the plow and he dragged Hastinapur. The entire city was dragged, and they all came out and asked for apologies, and then he was appeased, and then they allowed somebody to marry like that. So there are many pastimes in the Krishna book or in the Srimad Bhagavatam, and I think you should know all these pastimes like that. Now, in terms of the rasa, Balaram serves in all 5 rasas. Okay, Santaras, Dasyaras, Sakyaras, Vatsalya, and Madhurya ras. In the sense of Santaras, if you are wondering how, he is expansion. He expands in any way he wants to expand, he will expand. Why? Because he is so much into serving Krishna. Just see how much he is attached to serving Krishna, right? Whenever there's a service, he will want to do it. That's Balaram. Whenever we have a service, we always say, where's the door? I want to go somewhere, That's how we are. We are like, exit. Let's go. But Balaram is, no, give me more service, Obviously, we can't do many services, but we have to do services and do it nicely. So how does Balaram does service in Santaras? He transforms his expansions as bedding item, clothing that Krishna wears, the turban, his shoes, any paraphernalia on the altar you see, drinking cup, everything is Balaram, expansion of Balaram. Okay. So now then that's Santara. Then Dasyaras is active. How does Krishna, he does it? He does it as Sesha. He does it as the fan, fanning Krishna. That's Dasyaras. So if you stand next to Krishna and you do Chamara and all that, that is in the platform of Dasya. Okay. Or if you massage the Lord before you put him to bed, that's also Dasya. Okay. So sometimes even Balaram massages Krishna, but he does it in a different mood also. So it depends, like if he's an older brother, he looks down kindly on his younger brother. That's Vatsalya. So when he takes care of his younger brother, lovingly protects him and also massages him, that's as a parent taking care. So that's Vatsalya. Now as Sakya, he's a cowherd boy, so he plays around with different cowherd. And he plays with Krishna also. That's as a Sakya Bhav. And finally, as Madhurya is in a different realm altogether, because he's a male form. He cannot directly act on Madhurya. So what he does is he expands himself into a Manjari called Ananga Manjari, who is the younger sister of Radharani, so that he can be intimately involved in getting Radha and Krishna's pastime together. So that's the mood of Sri Balaram, so nicely. Now, of course, Balaram is also married. He has 2 wives. One is, if you know, is Revati, and the other one is Srimati Varuni Devi. Okay, so these are the 2 wives of Balaram, and he has a younger sister also, and most of you should know. Her name is Subhadra, and she marries Arjuna. So that's also a pastime, how she marries. Arjuna disguises himself as a sannyasi, and then Balaram didn't like that. He was going to beat him up until Krishna comes and says, "Hey, wait a minute. This guy is not he's not cheating. They both love each other." And so there are humorous pastimes within the Bhagavatam. If you read, and you will understand. I guess I will stop here because it's almost to the top of the hour. So, and if you have any comments, if you want to even add to other pastimes, if you know pastimes you want to share, by all means, today is a wonderful day to reflect and think about these pastimes and enjoy the pastime. Now remember, Balaram also comes as Lakshman in Ram Leela. Okay. And the most fascinating thing about it is when they were in exile for 14 years, Lakshman was taking care of Ram and Sita 24/7. He never slept. You know, how many of us can do that, you know? Just for one Janmashtami, we'll complain, you know, because we cannot sleep. And then we will take 2 days off just to sleep, you know. So we have to develop this mood of service where we don't feel the difficulties or the tiredness of the body. Huh? So anyway, we'll cease here or stop, and you know, the other pastimes. Please share if you want to, or you can ask some questions. Yeah. Yes. Anyone? Yes, Pushpanjali Mataji, you can unmute and speak.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, please accept my humble obeisances. Thank you
Yeah.
so much for the class. So enlightening to go through all the pastimes. I have some nonsensical questions, so please correct me if I'm.
Well, you know, one thing is that in spiritual life, there's no nonsensical questions if it's asked in the proper mood. Yeah.
So I'll try, Prabhuji. So you see in some pastimes, like when Radha Krishna's pastimes are there, or Krishna's pastimes with gopis are there, Balaramji won't be there. Like, you know, at times he will exit, like where if he sees the footprints of Radha Rani, then Balaramji doesn't go there. But then in Gaur Leela, Gauranga Mahaprabhu, he has the mood of Radha Rani and he's Krishna himself. So sometimes I wonder how Nityananda Prabhu and Gauranga Mahaprabhu, they are there, you know, together all the time. I mean, what is that, how that mood changes in Gaur Leela? I just want to hear something. I mean, I don't know why.
I don't know. I wouldn't say there's a change, because just like Krishna, when he meets the cowherd boys, he relates to them in that Sakya Bhav, you know. So similarly, when Nityananda and Chaitanya Mahaprabhu meet, they also share in that mood, you know, in that bhav, you know. They're not in the Madhurya, they do not go into that mood, but they are showing us that we can all taste this Madhurya mood through the service actually of acharyas. So by serving all the devotees, these acharyas and so on, like Srila Prabhupada and so on, we get to taste the ecstasy experience by the gopis and so like that. So that's the exchange when you see Mahaprabhu and Nityananda, when they are in ecstatic, they are showing us the taste, how the gopis are exchanging loving sentiments like that with Krishna. Yeah, but externally it is like that, but it's not like they are the bhav is changed, you know, it's still Sakya. Yeah. It doesn't mean your Sakya Bhav, you cannot, by the mercy of Krishna or by the mercy of Mahaprabhu, you can experience this higher taste, yeah, or rasas, yeah.
I understood very little, Prabhuji, so maybe I'll take time for this to sink in.
Well,
I have another question, but I'll wait for Satyarupa Prabhu to go, and if unless somebody else has the question. You were saying something, Prabhuji?
No, I'm just saying it's just a bhava. There are two. When it's the male forms, they do not exhibit the Madhurya thing. But in Gaura Leela, we are allowed to experience the bhava. Yeah. Okay, not the intimacy. Okay. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Satyarupa Prabhu.
Hare Krishna, Radha Krishna Prabhu. That's a wonderful class, Prabhu. Please accept my humble obeisances.
Hare Krishna, my humble obeisance to you also.
Prabhu, so till now I got to know like only that Balaram is expanded in the form of Dham only, but today you mentioned that all incarnations comes from Balaram.
Yeah.
So actually, all of the origin is Krishna, but the all incarnations comes from Balaram, just because from Balaram these four primary incarnations are coming. That's why you mentioned that, Prabhu.
Yeah, you have to understand now, Krishna, Swayam Bhagavan, he only wants to enjoy. He has no time for any other activity. So to do that, Balaram wants to help him. So Balaram does all the other activities. from the spiritual realm all the way to the material realm. He takes different incarnations to assist Krishna and to help Krishna, to help the living entities to go back to Krishna, because that's what Krishna wants. And Balaram knows the heart of Krishna.
Okay. Thank you, Prabhu.
You're welcome. Adya.
Prabhuji, this is Adya's mom. I'm going to ask on her behalf. This was a great class, and
Can we see you?
absolutely.
Okay. Okay. So you're a good devotee. Yeah.
So, Prabhuji, her question was, how does all the demons get so much power, and why did Krishna even give the power to the demons in the first place?
It's in the material world, right? When we work hard, there's always some benefit in our activities, right? You study hard, you get good grades, and so on. So similarly, the demons, they practice hard with different yoga, siddhis, and so on. So anyone who does it is guaranteed some benefit of doing those practices. And so some of these boons, they worship demigods, and then the demigods are pleased, and so they ask for this kind of strength and power. And the problem is that demigods, when they give such boons, they don't think who they are giving to. They just freely give, Mahavadanyaya. So openly, even a fool can come and they will give them because they worship me and I reciprocate. So it's a kind of you can say a cosmic law where if you sufficiently please a demigod, they will give you some boons. So they got these boons, and so all these demons in the previous yugas were so expert in doing austerities and worship of the demigods, they were granted boons, and therefore they got such power. Yeah. And part of it you have to understand is Krishna also allowed them so that he can come and have fun with them, fun killing.
And like you were saying, they are also representative of the bad things that we have within us. So on the related note, I mean, there's of course chanting and reading Bhagavad Gita, but what I've seen with my personal experience is that if you give Yogamaya a little bit chance, like she's going to find Mahamaya, sorry, she give her the little bit chance, she's going to find her way, and then you can very easily be distracted from the path. So what do you do then?
You cry.
Yeah.
You cry out to Krishna, cry out to your spiritual master, cry out to your well-wishers, spiritual authorities, and say, look, I tried and this happened to me because of my mind, because of my past karma. You kindly pray for me. The whole idea is you don't give up. And so when you don't give up, then Lord Balaram will see your sincerity and he will bless you like that. Yeah. So the fact that you're asking this question means you want to improve, and that's sincerity. And so you shouldn't feel bad. Today is Balaram's appearance day, and it means you can ask Balaram for a boon, just like the demons. You ask, you say, please help me in this very lifetime, make advancement so that I can come and eternally serve you and Krishna like that. Yeah. Thank you. Rani.
Hare Krishna Prabhu. May I ask a question?
Only if you turn on your video.
I'm actually outside the temple.
That's okay.
So that's the temple.
So you're in some kind of divine abode.
Yes, Prabhu.
Yeah.
My question was, why did Narada Muni had to warn Kamsa? Wouldn't that have saved a lot of pain and grievance for a lot of the people?
Well, it's twofold. One is to make sure Kamsa commits more atrocities so that his boons and everything gets shortened, his life gets shortened. Second reason is he wanted the advent of Krishna. He was too desperate to see Krishna. He himself wanted Krishna. So that was the reason. Yeah. So sometimes the acharyas or people at the level of Narada, they will do such activities It may seem contradictory from our point of view, but that's because we don't understand the situation properly. And so we have to take instructions from superior authorities, and we then appreciate Narada's role, actually. Yeah, it's for our benefit. Yeah.
Thank you so much, Prabhu. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, you're welcome. Thank you. Yeah. Yeah. So anyone else? Pushpanjali, I think it's back to you.
Thank you, Prabhuji. So another question is about the baby form of Krishna and Balaram. That can be seen only in the material world, right? They keep the eternal pastimes keep happening only in the material world, right? In the Goloka, Krishna and Balaram are always in the youth form, right?
That is what I've heard. You know, I am not sure exactly that in some devotees maintain that Krishna is also in a childlike form in even in Goloka, but I do not know for sure. But what you said is true. That's what I've heard. You can ask other devotees who have read more on the scriptures, on this pastime. But you are right. Basically, this baby pastimes are not. They're considered to be one of the most sweetest pastimes, and they're very uncommon. So that means it's rarely seen. Yeah.
So should we have the desire to see these pastimes? But I mean, at the same time, we also want to be a part of the other pastimes. Like, I mean, is it okay to have affinity towards these pastimes and also other pastimes? And then
there's nothing wrong. There's nothing wrong, because eventually, as you get sufficiently purified and qualified, you will be focused on that pastime which is more suited to your constitutional position. Yeah. So at the moment, you may have attraction for many different types of pastime, right? So that's fine. There's nothing wrong with that. If we talk about pastimes to little children, they will like the pastimes where Krishna is killing all the demons, or Ram is killing all the Rakshasas, and so on. But once you become more in depth with your realizations and your connection with the Supreme Personality of God, that peculiar connection with Krishna will be revealed, and you'll be attracted to that more and more. And that's all you want. Yeah. Okay.
Yes, thank you so much.
All right. Yes. Who's next? Abhay?
Abhay Prabhu. Yes, Prabhu. Hare Krishna, Prabhu. Please accept my humble
Hare Krishna, Abhay Prabhu.
Hare Krishna. Prabhu, thank you so much for a very nice class. Very, very, very enlightening. I have a question, Prabhu. Prabhu, is there any significance of Lord Balaram carrying the plow, like his weapon that he carries? I mean, is there any, does the Shastra signifies anything regarding that?
I can't recall completely, but I've heard that he represents the work with the land. You till the land and then you plow, and with the cows. So it's more of a green. If you want to talk about green to people, right? Nowadays everyone is into green, so you can say Vaishya. He represents the Vaishya community, where they plow the land, till the land with the bulls, and then the cows, they milk it, and then have a prosperous society like that. So that's the reason that's what I've heard, but I'm not sure. So I'm not going to go further into that.
No,
I think that makes a lot of sense, at least for me at this moment. Yeah.
Thank you so much, Prabhu.
Yeah, but he carries also not just the plow, he also carries the club. Then that is to beat up all the rascals and the asuras.
Thank you so much, Prabhu.
You're welcome. Yeah. Anything else? Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, Prabhu. So, Satyarupa Prabhu?
Yes, Prabhu. If no other questions, we'll go to the next part of the program. Prashant Prabhu will give thank you note to Radha Krishna Prabhu.